Morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. My name's Tom Meyer. Rick Hyatt to my left here, and we're gonna get started since it's 9 o'clock sharp. And I want to welcome everybody here today. I want to thank you for your attendance, and I want to welcomely warm a few of our guests: Susan Graham, Matt Kupec, Matt Fisher with Alabama Row. Your name up there? Thank you for coming.
Dean Williams.
Thank you. And just want to thank you for coming, and we're going to try to keep the meeting moving this morning, and maybe even see if we can catch a few minutes and move things quite along here. Any questions or any concerns about the agenda today that you have before we get started? Hearing none, we'll get started with Matt and Susan. Let's do it.
So, welcome everybody. My name is Matt Kupec. I am work here at the university. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Development and Alumni Relations and the CEO of the SIU Foundation. Been here for 6 years. And this is Susan Graham. Susan, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Susan Graham. I'm Senior Director of Development with SIU Foundation for the College of Agricultural Life and Physical Sciences. This college is my home. I have been here for almost 30 years. I'm on campus 32, almost be 33 the end of this month. So I'm excited to be here with you. I've gotten to work with all of you for many, many years. Unfortunately, you've had to watch me grow up, and I appreciate your patience with me. But excited to be here and to share this project with you. Also excited to introduce Brittany Morrison, who is our Assistant Director of Development. She's trying to hide back there in the back. But please get to know her today. Introduce yourself.
Wait.
So yes, we were excited. Brittany joined our team July 1st. So we're excited to have her on and continue our fundraising efforts because we like to win. So we are the #1 academic unit in fundraising on campus.
Dean's gonna brag about that.
So yes, thank you all for being here today. We're excited to have you here.
So 6 years, I started 6 years ago, and one of the first things I did was talk to you all over in the room upstairs. And that was a great experience. I realized that later on, it was videoed and it was on social media. So I gotta be careful not to get too fired up and say things I shouldn't say that we might want to hear outside the room. So I may be a little calmer today. But it's just been an incredible experience getting to know all you and what your fraternity is all about, better men, and to see the history of it. And so to her credit, I would say maybe a year and a half or so ago, Susan came to me and said, y'all were thinking about buying some property off campus to build a new home, a fraternity home. And Susan is smart, and she knew the Chancellor's dream, all our dream, is to bring students back to campus. So we reached out and said, please, before you do anything, let's talk about the dream of coming home. I'm in Collier Hall right now, in Old Greek Row. There's only 2 tenants left. The foundation's one. Every day in my office, I look at and I see Schumann Hall. And I think about what the experiences you all had there. You know, we have some barbecues sometimes, and people who were in the school back in those days regale us with stories of all the things that went on, the water slides, and all the cool kinds of picnics and everything that went on at Old Greek Row. So we said, you know what? It's time. It's time. This is an opportunity. From the ashes of Old Greek Row can rise new Greek Row, Saluki Village, of what we, you can imagine. But really, we have an opportunity with you all. I feel like Matthew McConaughey in We Are Marshall when he goes to the monument, he's pointing at everybody, you. But we have the opportunity to, like you've always done, to be leaders and to help this Old Greek Row rise. And so today we want to talk about the plans for that. We've had great discussions. We've had some tough discussions. You guys have come at us pretty hard. And again, I was a former quarterback at North Carolina for 4 years. And I've been booed by 60,000 people, so I can take some heat. But these were great, constructive discussions. I've been blown away by the dedication of everybody. So we want to talk about the dream and where we are. We had an incredible meeting yesterday with the Chancellor, who is 100% on board. I think everybody that was there will vouch for that. So we wanted to talk about the dream of bringing back Schumann Hall, to restore it to what it used to be. And it's great not only for your fraternity, but it will be great for our university. So our students have been unbelievable in articulating the dream, the aspirations. I'm telling you, they are poster child for what we want to do. We want to put them out there because they represent our university, make us so proud. It's the one thing about this university. Our young people on this school are incredible, on this campus are incredible. The things we saw last night, the kind of things you all are doing, I'm going to tell you what, if that doesn't make you proud, nothing does. So, we're going to show you a quick 5-minute video, 5 minutes and 14 seconds to be exact. It's a little long, but you'll see 3 or 4 of you in here. Now, in true AGR kind of mode, after they did their interviews, they all asked for NIL deals. So that's how good they were at this. So we're going to hopefully run this video. It's going to be good. Hang in there, and we'll talk about the dream.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get this out of the way so you get the full vision, so give me just a second, here we go.
And when the house came available out on old small group housing, and that was in 1965. The location was perfect for us because we were right at the back door to the SIU farms.
Living at 116 small group housing when I moved in as a freshman in 1975 was a terrific thing, not only for me, but it also, when you think about your parents, it was a good place to live.
I actually moved in to the Alpha Gamma Row house as a freshman my first semester. So it's been an unbelievable fit and has returned so much more to me than I can ever give back to AGR.
The essence of what that building embodied, not only in the physical nature of it, but for the community, was really something that was terrific.
It's a bunch of men coming together in order to better themselves. That's why our mission, our purpose is to make better men. And so it's really cool to see this community being built here in Carbondale.
We would love to come back. I think every single member that, in AGR before or after the old house has been, we were moved out of it. But I can say, like, recently in the last 5 years, every single member would be happy to see this new house built on Greek Row and us taking the leadership role and being the first ones there and, building back the community of what Greek Row used to be.
Those of us that lived there understood the benefits and the value.
The idea of us having that opportunity to do that again is really exhilarating to me. I really look for AGR to assert itself as a leader of the Greek community. And for us to have the ability to help pave a way that I think others will follow can really be a stimulation and an example about what the art of the possible is. So I really look for that opportunity for all of our brothers to kind of dig deep in your hearts and minds about what you think we need to do for our Beta Alpha chapter. And I hope that we can all agree that having a place back where we did call home for more than 45 years feels like the right thing for us to do for our brothers of the future and for us as alumni to return back to.
Both the foundation and the administration are very willing to work with us, and we can kind of plan how we want to lay this thing out. That's been a breath of fresh air and very exciting to me to have support for this project all the way up to the Chancellor. They are pro-Greek. That goes to the Chancellor, who is Greek,
our chancellor and the administration, which is all for what we are trying to do in moving back on campus. I can't highlight enough how awesome it is to be able to work with the chancellor, to sit in meetings where he's very actively involved in what we're trying to do, and he's supporting us.
There is going to be a ton of work between now and making that happen, and I would encourage everyone to get involved.
We have all these people working with us in order to get back on campus, and that's one of the biggest highlights. That's one of the biggest things that we have going for us right now.
I've had the privilege and honor of being on the foundation board of directors for the last few years. The foundation has achieved several things that may have not occurred had they not stepped up to say, I think we can make that happen. And so what I would encourage people to appreciate and know and trust is that the foundation wants to revitalize that area of the university. So does the administration of this university. They've come to understand, I think, that having students on campus is far better.
The excitement within our chapter is something, we're really looking forward to doing this. The timeline of it may not be within, the guys in our chapter right now, but, leading forward, in 5-10 years, we're really looking forward to these guys having a chapter house, and for us to come back as alumni.
I really do want us to have a home at SIU that all of us are not only proud of, take care of, but that if we invest in it, that will take on a different element than what we had before. So I think it's really an opportunity for us. It's a check for us, I think, about where do we want to be.
Many of us that basically grew up in that house would like to see that house right back in that same location. We're really going to look to a much brighter future for our brothers at SIU.
All right, so you can see why. Again, I hope you're inspired by that. And what a great opportunity we have. Greg mentioned a few things in there about working with the university and the foundation. So the foundation raises money for the university. As some of you heard last night, we're in a $500 million campaign. And as Susan said, ag is number one right now in the lead of all these great schools we have. But as an example, when you drove on campus today, if you came in off 51, you saw from where the ashes of McAndrew Stadium are rising the new Tedrick Welcome Center. And to Greg's point, that would not have happened if not our vision of the foundation, its board. That wasn't even in the blueprint 2 years ago. And that thing's going to be done on May 1st, 2026. So we'd like to challenge everybody today and think about the next building. That's the first building we built in 13 years. Wouldn't it be great if the next building is AGR hall? Wouldn't that be something? Well, we can do that fast. But there's a great African proverb that says you want to go fast, go alone, you want to go far, we must go together. So what we want to talk to you about today is launching a feasibility study where we go, this is kind of, that's terminology used in the fundraising world, where we're going to go around and talk to many of you and having a one-on-one conversation. We're not going to ask for a pledge, but we're going to ask for what we'll call an oral commitment. What would you consider stepping up with and making over a 3 to 5 year period in terms of a gift to support this effort? We want to conduct at least 50 personal one-on-one interviews, and then we want to come back and see where we are. And again, we've got a couple of documents which Susan will pass out now. One is a little more about the campaign. We don't have all the answers right now. We don't have Chuck's been doing a great job. What would it look like? But the one thing we do know here, if we can go to the university, and right now we're looking at raising $2 to $2.5 million. That's the number we're looking at, Chuck, somewhere around there. But if we go to the university and say we've got commitments to do this, we will take it over.
go, Rick.
We used an example of how philanthropy can help. We were looking at trying to create a nursing school. We were getting a lot of pushback. We secured 2 gifts totaling $4 million. When we got those gifts, before you knew it, we had a school of nursing. So we believe very much. This is our opportunity. Collectively, we must do it together. So we're gonna go around, think about it, you would think about, we'll have questions in a second here, but, we really believe we can do this. Getting to know so many of you, we believe there's the appetite for it, and you put those together, capability plus appetite, we believe that in the very near future, we can have a new Schumann Hall, whatever we call it. So let me, Susan, you want to?
Did everybody get 2 pages?
I only got one.
Okay, so they need.
So just go ahead, go through it. I will tell you, our dean was a great wrestler. Probably one of the great wrestling universities in the world, Lehigh. So I get a little nervous if I misspeak. He may take me down and defend me. But anyway, we're doing it all right. Okay? Tom, you want to have some questions? Conversation? Susan, you wanted to add anything?
No, I just want you to know that the actual what's called proposal, we made sure to put on their concept artwork. Please do not think that we have a building designed, laid out. It's all concept drawings right now, thanks to Rick Story and Chuck Shop and several of them that have been working on this and helping us out with this. If you need pictures, we know Rick is the place to go, so.
For the record, Rick has 143,000 photos. Selfishly, that also includes family. We thought they all should be AGR, but that's okay. But no, we've got, Rick and I and Susan, we've got some ideas and things we can do. So the other thing before we get into questions is the foundation is 100% into this. Susan and I, and Brittany, you got the whole, there's 65 of us in the foundation, all the resources are behind that. That video was produced by our cinematographers. We do an incredible job at storytelling. I hope you got that in there with that movie, the music, the interviews, the pictures. I tell you what, I was ready to go, Coach. So, question?
Yeah, if you were to build this and get the money, who will have ownership of this?
Right now, the plan. Now, you wanna talk about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little. We've been in discussions with the chancellor and other parts of the administration now for several months. We've had, I think, 3 different actual meetings, and we've been talking with Matt and Susan for over a year now. We've got details to work out on the actual contract, what it's gonna look like. We have some very definite things that we know that we had to deal with the university before, that we don't wanna have those problems again. And so we're gonna make sure that those kinds of things are covered. But from what I've seen so far, there's been a real willingness to negotiate these contract provisions and so on and so forth. So again, as Matt said, we don't have all the answers yet, but we're gonna make sure that we do this in a way that's gonna be good for us and good for the university. And but we certainly are gonna be looking out for, so again, all of us know some of the issues that we had in the past, and we don't wanna have those again. And so we're gonna sit down and have a legal discussion about some of these details and how we can work that contract out. And again, I think when our money is involved, we're really in control of a lot of things. And so I think that's really gonna be important. If it's somebody else's money, it's very difficult to have any control. But I think as long as it's our money, we're gonna be the driver of a lot of things.
And as example, so we negotiated the terms with the Tedrick Welcome Center. And that will house the foundation offices, and it will be a 14,000 square foot welcome center, which we think will be the best darn welcome center in the state of Illinois. At least that's the way we're positioned. It's gonna be a cool thing, but the lease, it's a 37-year lease agreement on that. We will turn the building over to the university in 37 years. Our thought here, that would be longer with this building, but we're gonna make sure AGR is protected. And we're gonna, again, having had experience negotiating that lease already on this other building, we feel really good about it. So those are some of the details, but certainly we will, I've heard a lot about, when the university just said to y'all, get out of here, you gotta get out of the building. We're gonna protect ourselves against that.
And if I could add to that, in several meetings, and several of you have heard it, the chancellor has committed to, he realizes it must be a long-term lease. And you've already gotten that commitment. The details have to be worked out.
Other questions or comments from anybody that's been in the discussions where we, yes?
Are there other interests in Greek life and coming to this as well?
Yes, that's the beauty of this. This is an opportunity where a rising tide will lift all ships. So, not all sororities, fraternities are gonna have the wherewithal to raise money. We think there's about 7 or 8 that can do that. A couple of them have come to us already. As an example, our lawyer in the foundation's son is a student here. I forget what fraternity, but he wants to go to law school now because they want to be the second building built. So that's, we had a great discussion yesterday. Chancellor's going to be meeting with the advisors and the representatives of the Greek councils to talk about that. We want to see this Greek road be representative of all of the Greek life. So, but yes, and there's a lot of interest. And you guys want to talk about that? You talk to you've heard. You guys
Yeah, sure. So we try to get a representative from the fraternity side, which is us, and the sorority side. So Delta Zeta, their advisor in all of these meetings that we've had with the chancellor and the administration of the foundation. And so their system works differently than ours. They cannot ask alumni for donations whatsoever. They have to strictly go through their housing code. So different organizations are gonna have different hoops they have to jump through, basically. But there is a lot of interest. One of the areas that we're going to is figuring out how can we get all of the chapter advisors of all of our Greek organizations involved in this conversation, because likely it's not gonna happen within the next year. It's not gonna be built. It's not gonna happen within maybe 2 years, who knows? So those advisors are gonna be the ones who are carrying on this conversation, keeping the excitement up. That way we don't lose all of this energy that we built up.
And I will tell you, the chancellor sent an email 10 minutes after we finished our meeting yesterday, directing Dr. Bergen to get this meeting set up by May 1st. So he has given a deadline to student affairs to get all advisors together before the semester is over.
Just the site of the property where Schumann is, right next to University Lake, Campus Lake. Our Campus Lake is, I think it's 42 acres. There's only 1 or 2 lakes like ours that are bigger on any. I think Notre Dame has a bigger lake. And that Campus Lake, what a real estate position spot you all have there. This spring, we're gonna see at least one fountain going up at that Campus Lake. I mean, just think about that. I mean, you all know that. I'm talking to the choir here. What a great opportunity to bring our students back in that environment. So again, any other, yes?
Yeah, man, you're elected $2.5 million from alumni. What would it totally, what do they think it'd cost to, of course, I know at Logan, we get ready to build a building, supposed to be $5 million, next thing you know, it's 6, but what do you project it?
Yeah, that's Jake, great question. The size of this, how big, we don't think it will need to be as big as Schumann Hall is right now. Again, I don't wanna put any false thing. Chuck is the expert. Chuck, you wanna answer that? Or try to?
We're looking at a capacity, it's anywhere between 18 to 25 at this point. It may go bigger. But that's gonna determine a lot of the factors on how big the building's gonna be, how many people we wanna put in there.
Yeah. So Jake, we think in that range that we're talking about, we can do that. But it's a good point, and it is, again, that's why this is a feasibility study. We're not saying, Jake, give us that money, we're gonna collect it, and then, oh, you know, we're gonna have to return it to you. We wanna get the sense of what you believe in this, what you'd be willing to commit. Then we'll get to work on those designs, but we think that range is based on some other things going around, that's the right range, Jake, but good question.
But the foundation will have skin in the game, right?
Brother, you got Susan, you got me, absolutely, we got
I mean,
you.
money-wise.
Nope, we're gonna be responsible for running and taking oversight and all that kind of stuff, but much like the TED, we're gonna have to come up with the money in terms of, from you all. And then, much like we did at the Tedrick Welcome Center. But I guess ultimately, at the end of the day, yes, if we weren't able to come up with the $2.5 million, it cost $2.5 million, the foundation would be responsible for the remaining amount, yeah. So we're trying to raise the right amount of money, but we are taking the risk. If we don't, we start this, the foundation will be obligated for what the difference is.
Question, Matt, as far as the old buildings are out there, is the university gonna take care of raising those? Or we have to pay for that, or who take care of raising the building, and what's the timeline to raise the old buildings?
Yeah, that came up yesterday. That's been a point of discussion. We were trying to get 2 of them torn down this summer. We heard some different costs yesterday, going up to even, as not the quote, but $500,000 due to asbestos and things like that. The poor architect for the Tedrick Welcome Center received an very early morning call to me about that, to see what his opinion was on that. So those things have to be worked. There's 13 buildings. You do the math, 13 times $500,000 is what, $6.5 million or something like that. We challenged, again, I've gotta be careful, we're being taped, but we're working on that right now. I mean, and one of the ideas and I looked at it this morning, that Texas A&M Foundation, the Arizona State Foundation, the Kentucky Foundation have all done P3 deals through the foundation. So maybe we're under great leadership, we're creating a real estate LLC in the foundation. We may have the foundation do all that stuff. So I think there's a lot of great opportunities here. But again, we don't have, the frustrating thing, we don't have all the answers right now. But we just felt, let's get to the feasibility. No one is putting a dime into this. We're not asking for you to put a check, if you commit $50,000, put any money. We just want to get, what is your level of interest? So we can assess that, see where we are. And then we're looking at conducting these interviews, really, getting it done early, sometime May, May or June, to have a really good sense of where we are. And again, we're gonna need everybody to rise up, and because without you, we can't get this done. To Jake's point, we do need the money. And Rick.
Is it worth mentioning about the plan that the university has hired a company to do? Is that worth for you to discuss that?
Great, that's definitely. So the university has hired a campus master planner who has just started. It's a group called Canon Designs or something like that. And they're gonna do an overall review of our campus, look and make an assessment of where we are with all our buildings, and make a plan, a recommendation of going forward. The good point to Rick's question is that we have asked that Greek Row be placed on the top of the list. So that's the first thing that they're going to examine. But that campus master plans, we think we can go through those pretty fast, and we will, and it's a great thing we're doing. But our attitude, let's get this thing. Let's see what the level of interest is amongst the brothers. And then I think if it's enough, I believe we can get that going right away. Yes?
So, this is kind of a question for Rick and your approval. We could put these on our Beta Alpha website, couldn't we, Rick, these forms they just passed out, so that we could get more, because obviously we don't have enough alumni here to raise that kind of money, but there's still 600 or 700 other alumni out there. So I was wondering if we could get these on our website and on the AGR website that Christopher Pierce puts out, and if the foundation doesn't mind if we put this out there.
No, so today the idea was before we went public, we wanted to talk about it, get a consensus, this is where we want to go, right? And then once we do that, we want to sell the hell out of this and say it loud and say it proud, and we will. And I tell you, with the foundation resources, we will help, and what Rick does and everybody else. I mean, this guy's got a website right here. So absolutely, we want to get the word out, but we wanted you to have a sense of it, that you agree that this is the right way to go, and then you can help sell this. And then it's a lot of one-on-one sales, but it's going to your point, we want to saturate the market with this. This is we think this is exciting. This is a great opportunity. So,
And Matt, would you explain a little bit that P3 public-private partnership for everybody? It's kind of an unfamiliar term to a lot of people.
yeah, it's a fancy way that bringing a financier to help get it done. I don't understand it exactly, Tom, but it's a public-private partnership. You know, in the case of if we have housing, so in other words, so if you build something, you got to pay for it. How will you pay for it? Well, a third party would come in, provide the monies to build it, but then there's got to be a guarantee that there's revenues to pay them back. So in the case of a Greek village, a Saluki village, a new Greek row, a dog park, whatever we're going to call it, there would be housing revenues that would go to pay to the entity that financed it. So that's the public-private partnership, PPP concept. In this case, I think the foundation can be a big financier for us, to Jake's point earlier. Because Jake wants skin in the game from us. And brother, you got it. Other thoughts or questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
Do we have the ability, as our house, to have naming rights to it for some corporation or something like that?
You got it.
Of course you do.
I'm telling you what, I've got visions of, Rendleman Hall right there, but I'll leave it at that. So just dream with us together. No, but yes, that's a big one to help us get to some of the gift levels.
First of all, I think the 37 years seems like it's way too short.
Okay.
Should be like a 100-year lease or something.
Normally 99 would be the term.
Would it be 99?
Right. Well, no, that's because I talked with my best friend ChatGPT. They said 99 years this morning, but those to be negotiated.
Okay, and also all these details and stuff. I would say that if our attorney has it, they could take money to whatever it takes to spend money to get, whatever it takes to get, exact stuff, which right now you don't give much interest. I mean, there's something to look into it, to getting more details. That's all I would think.
Well, with all means, we definitely need more details. That's why we're not collecting a dime right now. The only people putting out money right now is the foundation through Susan, Brittany, me, and our team that help. I mean, that's the commitment we have right now, because we believe in this project. We're putting all our resources behind it. But again, we hate to not have all the details laid out. But Al's gonna drive a hard, good deal on behalf of y'all, and it's gonna be a good deal. I mean, and more details, but again, I'm gonna go back to that nursing school. If not for those monies, we wouldn't have a nursing school. But when those monies showed up, it's amazing how negotiations can move quickly.
And one other thing now, the quickest when would this start? 2 years or 5 years or what?
I got our visionary Adam over there. He got me a little disappointed. He was talking about 2 years, I don't want to get crazy, but if we can do and get a sense that we could raise $2.5 million right now. Now, again, we're talking about payments of 3 to 5 years of pledges. So, I think you're right. It could be 2 years, I think. Thinking about the Tedrick Welcome Center, we moved that along pretty quickly. So I think, again, I hate to be held.
So people could be living in there in 2 years then. But anyway, you're gonna have to give a detail, although we're gonna have our next big meeting, that would be another year from now.
2 would be ambitious. 2 would be ambitious. Now, if you all step up, and then if we do well in our fundraising, but even the construction of it could take well over a year. Yeah, well over, The Welcome Center construction's about 18 months. So, yeah, 2, 3, maybe Adam, you're right, that kind of thing.
There's a lot of details to work
Yeah.
out, a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Already been going on a year and a half.
yeah, but
We have to get the administration on board first, and if it hadn't been for Matt pushing this, we would still be sitting here talking about the same thing we were a year ago.
we've discussed this with other chapters that have moved off of campus to on campus, and their timeline, what was it, Tom, 5 to 7 years it took them to go from a house off campus to on campus, with negotiating all the deals and, you know, the deciding what they want in the house and all of that. There's a lot.
Yeah. I will say again, the experience of this Welcome Center has made us feel very good about our ability to move through some of those details, even a little at a faster pace. But yep, you know, question.
Are you saying raising the $2.5 million basically is paying cash for everything, or you're saying that if we need additional funds, how can we secure those, because the property is still gonna be belong to the university, right?
It'd be leased
Not
to these
us, so
ground lease.
that's where the foundation would come in, as opposed to us private doing
No,
private
this
lending?
would all, again, the 2.5 is what we think it's gonna cost to build this. So to your point and Jake's point earlier, if it were $3 million, we'd have to, where would the extra 500,000 come from? We're just right now getting a sense, do you all have the interest? Do we have the capability? Can we raise $2.5 million? That's what this is. We think, when we look at, you know, there's about 1,000 of you, when we do our analysis, we think there definitely is the capability there to hit that number. But that's just on that's on a number. You know, until we have conversations, you think about the dream, you think about the experience and what this meant to be part of this great fraternity, and you want to see it continue for not only these students today, but future generations of AGR.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah.
if I could make a comment. You know, as Al mentioned, we don't want to go back to some of the issues that we dealt with, which is why the brothers walked off the road several years ago. And those are all going to be taken care of. The thing that happens each time we meet with the chancellor is there's another significant point that comes out. And we learned yesterday in more detail about this master plan, and it's really, I was sold that it's the right thing to do. But in looking at the master plan, which could take a few years, if we're committed to a house back on Drake Row, and we can commit and raise this money to do it, there's absolutely no question about it being done. And I put my money and I put my word behind that. It's been a question in our minds for a long time. This opportunity is just almost unbelievable. The task force has been working hard to achieve what Matt and Susan are telling us here today. And so through the last 2 meetings with the chancellor, there's absolutely no question in my mind that this is going to happen and will allow us to happen if you are willing to have it happen. And I think that's very significant. You know, a lot of people have said, as we've talked, that, well, take that house down, show me that you're serious, show me the university's really going to do it. It's complicated, as Matt said. There's asbestos in there. I'm sorry, you can't get by EPA, and we're a state, you know, property. So you got to go through the channels with that stuff. So your measurement point of the university showing you physically a first step, it isn't going to happen, but the commitment there is to happen. And so I've gotten to know Chancellor Lane, as several of you have that have met with him, and he's genuine. Matt is very genuine. You know, Susan's been with us in our court. She is very genuine. And there just is no question in my mind that we want this. It will happen. And I just wanted to say that. I've had the pleasure of being with the fraternity and alumni for a long time and working through some of the trials and tribulations we've had, some of the debt payments that we've had, et cetera, et cetera. But there just is absolutely no question in my mind that this is the right thing to do. It is the thing to do. And if you want it, I'm sorry, it's time. It's time to fill out that piece of paper and give these people an indication. Because if we don't get any kind of a strong indication that that is something that our fraternity wants to do, then we need to go do something else. Because I think the example that Matt gave speaks really loud for what we can do to circumvent the master plan. You show me the money, we'll build the building. And I really think that's where it's at. So it's no longer seeing a building come down or a change in a physical action on the part of the university. We have the chancellor's absolute word and commitment, and he's putting a lot of resources behind this to make this happen. And so I hope we just move forward.
You
I just
get
want
an
to make
amen
that
from me
comment.
about that, and I would just, Matt mentioned the Tedrick Welcome Center, but there are, the nursing school you've mentioned, but there are lots of other pieces of evidence about where the foundation becomes the accelerator, the facilitator of making things happen. The fermentation school, we've gotten MRI machines for some of our colleges. They are a facilitator that makes things happen. So once we give them the signal that we are serious and wanna do this, this will happen. And even though 5 to 7 years is a possibility, I'd put money, it's gonna be far quicker than that, because that's the evidence that I see happening.
And the great thing is, to add on to Greg's point, by going through the foundation for this, the timeline is way faster than if you're waiting on state money. We're still waiting on a greenhouse 15 years later. We're close to it. I'll let Dr. Willard update you on that. We're a lot closer than we've been in a long time, but the foundation is the accelerator for this project because we're still working on state-funded projects, and we're able to sort of bypass some of that bureaucracy by doing it through the foundation.
We were an example of a renovation of the communications building. When I came here 6 years ago, it's been 2 years when we had the commitment to get that done. And we're still 4 years away from having that completed. And we've, to Greg's point, this welcome center. And what we did on the welcome center, we said, university, we want to build a welcome center. Give us a site. We went out and got a site, and then we did it. We did it, and we negotiated all the deals. And then we negotiated with the university. That's what we're talking about here. So that gives us comfort. We've got that experience in it. Al, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I thought it was interesting yesterday when we had the meeting with the chancellor. He came in with his Kappa Alpha Psi sweater. And it's interesting that he's a Kappa and Dr. Bergen is an Alpha Phi Alpha. And so, you know, both of those guys know, they understand Greek life. And so it's interesting the connection of all of that. And Chancellor Lane commented yesterday that he was at a luncheon with some of his fraternity brothers that were celebrating 75 years of Kappa Alpha Psi, and they mentioned Greek Grove and how they would like to see their chapter back on Greek Grove also. And so I thought that was really kind of an interesting comment that he made. But also, last night at the Ag Banquet, you know, meetings can sometimes be somewhat formal affairs. You know, everybody sits in a chair here and a chair there, and you talk back and forth. But at that Ag Banquet last night, had the opportunity to talk to Chancellor Lane one-on-one, and I mean, he was out talking to us before the banquet ever started, and it's just he's very personable, and he talked last night, he talked my ear off, almost, about how excited he was to try and get this done. And so, we've never had that before. I mean, I remember back in our LEAC days, we couldn't get the university to even accept us as part of AGR. And, so to have that type of communication and that type of buy-in is just totally different than we've ever had.
I had 5 texts from the Chancery after that meeting, basically saying, let's get this done. So I think, again, I don't want, enough's been said. I think, Rick, you did a great summary. Just, you know,
I'd like to just make one final comment. I brought the picture of Barry up there, our mascot, our first mascot from LEAC out on Greek Row, and that sign that there says that it's the first child of my departed wife, Carolyn. She more or less took care of it. We had him when we were first married and started LEAC. We lived in a 40-by-8 trailer, but Barry got kicked out of the house. No details, but somebody had to take care of it. And we did until he died in December of '71. And I look at this as hologram. Because Barry is buried on those grounds of 116.
Yeah, those are those kinds of memories, and so.
So, I mean, this is all good discussion, but when you go out there, you do all your figuring and run your numbers, and you come up as best you can with $1 million. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, and, we think, what can we build for $1 million? And I don't
Well,
think
we
we can
can't
build.
say we can't build for $1 million. Do you try to go out and get more, or when do you just say, okay, this isn't gonna work?
We would do a halftime adjustment and think about, what is our plan? That's a good question. That's what we don't know. We're hoping we won't have to deal with that, but it could be, we might have to.
I have one question. I mean, you're asking for sizable donations here. Is there any way these donations are gonna be tax deductible?
They will.
They will be one.
We are gonna run it through the foundation, even though I'm getting quoted right now, right there. So we're gonna run this through the foundation. Is you the only one live right now?
No, you got.
Okay, yes, you will get taxed, we'll leave it at that. I was gonna say something a little more colorful, but I don't wanna say that. Yeah, we've talked, I think a big help, the University of Kentucky has done this. And they work with their foundation. Many of us have had great, I think we've learned a lot from UK's experience. But they did it, we're doing it. And that's gonna help. It's gonna help. It's gonna help.
And to speak to Steve's point about taking the buildings down, I will guarantee you that that is on the mind of a lot of people, and especially the chancellor, to get that area cleaned up. I mean, we got stopped at the Florida takeover. There was an ag alum who wasn't even an AGR brother, said we came through, we drove through the old brick row, when do you clean that up? And he had a discussion with the chancellor about it. The law school wants it cleaned up so they can have housing maybe for their students over there. It's a safety issue and an eyesore, so just know that it's on the list. It has to be fixed.
What was once a gem will return
Yes.
to be a gem. There's no doubt.
So is our organization gonna share responsibility for demolishing that?
That's being worked on right now. To Susan's point, Facilities Energy and Management, called FEM, I harass them, I shouldn't use that word. I call them all the time about taking the buildings down, and the chancellor's on that too. So we're working through that one. Again, this is where I've got some ideas on the foundation's role, as Tom pointed about the P3. So, those are, again, devil in the details. Is that included? Again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Certainly that's all got to be looked at.
And Jake, to your point too, when you all came to me and we started talking, and the thought, as long as I've been around here, the thought of another fraternity or sorority being able to build on the site that was AGR, I would really like to see you guys do it first. I think it would be hard on everyone to see that land used by someone else.
So I guess it's coming out of today, and you all will decide, and again, I'm going with what Rick said before, I don't want it. But, this is our opportunity, if you all, wanna move forward with this, and.
Please don't run from us when we come.
And you're gonna unleash Susan and me and Brittany, and we're gonna work with all of you, because you all can help us, and you can help us look at names, we've done all that. Who's out there that might be, we should, talk to, those types of things. But we're just waiting for word from you, we're ready to go. We've got the car, we got the engine on. Tom, Rick, we're ready to go. I think everybody who we've been meeting is ready to go. Question?
I think one thing that was important to me at least is we've been having these meetings with the administration and the chancellor, but most of those are closed door, kinda, off to the side in the shadows type thing. But for those of you who weren't at the Ag Banquet last night, I mean, the chancellor outwardly said, hey, we're working to get this done at the Ag Banquet, and that really meant a lot to me, just to get that message out there and really kind of fire everybody up a little bit, so.
And the chancellor would have been here today, but he unfortunately had to go out of town, so, but his heart is with you here today, he just could not be here to greet you in person.
I don't see anybody's.
The chancellor said that last night at the Ag Bank, so I'm sure the farmhouse guys felt for the press.
You guys made them shrink last night, right?
Yeah. Well, I keep asking questions, but since this would theoretically be our house now, we were there before, we had to pay so much to the university every year for rent. Since this would be ours then, would all the money we'd be taking from the students be going back to the fraternity? Or are we going back to the?
Those are parts of the detail that you're right, that need to be.
I mean, there'd be something for maintenance and stuff, but there should, okay, that's something we get.
Okay, so as an example, so since the foundation's paying for the Tedrick Welcome Center, we're not paying rent until the 37 years when we turn it over, and we have a deal on the maintenance. So those are the things we'd work out in the contract. But those are all great questions, and you can't ask enough of them. But we're ready to go. All we're saying, Coach, is put us in. And, together, it's gonna be up to us. You can help solicit, but, that's all we're excited about being here, and, we're excited about getting going. Look at Brittany's she's bouncing back in her chair back there, she's ready to go. And if you all decide this is where we wanna go, let's go. Let's go do this, as they say on the commercial. So, we appreciate you giving us time to present today. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with y'all. We will continue. But we have a chance to do something special. We have a chance, Gray Webb, to talk about legacy, and Ricky talked about it. I'm telling you, AGR is a chance to step forward and be the leader. And I'm telling you, others will follow. And there will be this great rise from Old Greek Road.
Susan, I saw you asked if anybody online had any questions.
Nobody asked anything. Any of you have questions online, please feel free to join in the conversation here. Good to see all of you. Well, see at least Ron.
All right.
Okay.
Hearing no more questions, we'll move on to,
Thank you.